Herkese merhaba. Bugün ben Türkçe dersim için bir sunum hazırlanıyorum. Yani ben nasıl yaptığımı göstereceğim. The point of this video is how to create a presentation in your target language. This isn't really about Turkish, but I'm using my Turkish class as an example. So whether you are self-studying, whether you have a university class, high school class, hopefully these strategies will be helpful for you in order to maximize the most learning out of your presentation. So for me, when I'm creating a presentation, I try to break it down into smaller parts so it's more manageable. First, you need to determine your rubric. If you are doing this for a class, it's probably very easy because the teacher will give you a rubric about what you need to include in this presentation. If you are self-studying, you need to figure that out for yourself. You can't just randomly present on something. You need to determine what specific points you want to hit, why you want to hit them, and so on. Then we're going to create the skeleton of the presentation to give it form, to give it a main idea. Next, we're going to fill out the pages that we created in that skeleton and flesh it out with information, with vocab words, with useful points that you can refer to. Then we're going to practice this presentation using synonyms. The final step is to present your presentation that you've worked so hard on. So I'm going to walk you through a few of these steps and give my best advice in order to get the most out of this presentation. So when I'm determining my rubric, I'm doing this for an italki class, so I have no obligation to even continue this class, but I want to improve my Turkish. So I wrote down a few points that I really want to hit for this presentation. I really struggle with numbers in any language, but in Turkish in particular. So I want to be able to hit a lot of numbers, talk about years, talk about many things related to numbers. I want to talk about my opinions more freely and openly. I want to talk about why I like things, because right now I can say I like or I don't like, but I can't go too in depth of why I like things other than it's cool, it's interesting. I want to go deeper into interests, dislikes, and explaining myself. I also want to specifically hit Pokemon terminology because that's something that I spend a lot of my day playing, a lot of my free time, I should say. So I want to learn the proper terminology about, like fire types, battling, all these sort of video game mechanics. I want to talk about them in Turkish. And finally, a smaller goal of mine is to talk about more or less than, which is something that I worked really hard on reviewing, and my Turkish teacher specifically mentioned that I need to work on. So in this presentation, I really want to talk about comparing things to previous versions. I alluded to it a bit ago, but the topic of this presentation is going to be Pokemon. As I've mentioned, this is for an italki class, so it's completely self-directed. I just learn about what I want to learn about, and I think this is going to be an interesting topic for me. It's on my mind in my free time, and I think I'll be able to hit all of those points that I want with this topic. Of course, I want to have fun with this, and I think it'll be useful for my learning. If you're doing this for a university class or high school class, you'll probably have a smaller pool of possible topics, so I think you can really hit all of these points with a given topic as well. So here on Canva, I've found a template that I really like. I thought was super cute, very easy to understand. So I will be using this template and filling it out with, my information. So I've determined my rubric, I've determined the points I want to hit. Now we're gonna fill out a skeleton. So I am going to create a front page to introduce the topic. I don't know. I am beautifying this video oyunu serisi. I am not worrying about making it beautiful right now because it'll become more beautiful later. I'm just going to put question marks just so that I know to fill this in later. And I don't care too much about how it looks. I always like to include a little map with my presentations. So I'm gonna write presentation map in Turkish. And like I said, I don't really care about beauty. I just want to get this on paper. What's super annoying about Latin-based writing systems is that you'll encounter so many problems like this where your keyboard has one version of the letter but not the other one. So I need dotless I here. I'll worry about it later. So copying this in, and I think in order to hit everything, the first part of my presentation, I want to talk about what is Pokemon. Pokemon ne? What is Pokemon? Then the next part I want to talk about Pokemon's history, Pokemonun tarihi, Pokemon's history, and the last one I want to talk about every generation. Why did I choose these as the topics of this presentation? Talk about general terminology with that first what is Pokemon section. Then I'll talk about time with the Pokemon history, and then the last one, every generation, I'm going to be able to hit all of the above. I'm going to talk about numbers, how many were introduced in every generation. I'll talk about my favorite. I can talk about what I like, and then I can compare to previous ones. So I can say this one's more this one's more that, this one has less, this one has more of X, Y, Z. Let's put a little guy here. So in this section, I will call this section Pokemon ne. What is Pokemon? This I'll worry about later. Then maybe this is how I can hit my points. Maybe that will look good. I'll talk about what do you do in the series. So I need to hit verbs like throw, catch, battle. So that'll be the first point. I'll mention what it is similar to, what it's dissimilar to. I love hitting those adjectives or verbs, depending on the language. And then I'll talk about what did it do uniquely. I'm writing this in English right now just because I want to get it down. The content, which will be in Turkish at the end, is for later. Of course, I put the title already in Turkish because that just came out really quickly. I didn't even have to think about how to say that in Turkish, but this section is called What is Pokemon? And I will explain a little more in these bullet points. Talk a little bit about Pokemon history. Copy that here. This is a problem for later, but I don't know, maybe you want to do that now. Well, I think Charmander deserves to be in this place. So for Pokemon history, what am I going to talk about? The who, what, when, where, why. Who, what, when, where, why. I think I should have a little bullet point about Pokemania, about the explosion of Pokemon. I'll have a little section about slowing down. I think Pokemon Go deserves its own section. And then New Heights deserves its own section. And when I say section, I mean it'll be 1 or 2 sentences here. I don't need to present for 50 minutes. I just want to make a quick little sentence about everything here. I could talk about this topic forever, but I want to, hit my points, right? This doesn't need to be that long for me. No, I'll call it every generation. I really shouldn't be worrying about the friggin' button. It literally doesn't matter, but whatever. Oh, that is so ugly. Okay, that's a problem for next time. For every generation, I don't know, I just want to introduce this little area here. I don't know, I'll worry about how it looks later. Then I think I'm going to do it like Generation Bir, and then make bullet points. So I'll talk about the number of Pokemon, year released, so I can talk about numbers, the number of Pokemon, so I can talk about numbers again. I'll talk about my favorites. I'll talk about my least favorites. I'll talk about, I need to say the name of the games. Special features of the game. Yeah, something like this. And then I think I would just continue it. So, just like this. This seems like a good skeleton. I'll hit everything I want, I think. So I'm happy with this. I don't have time to completely fill out this presentation while I'm here. I am a busy person. I'll do probably like 1 or 2 slides a day. Because this class is self-directed, I do whatever I want or whatever my teacher recommends. This isn't due anytime, but I will slowly work on this, fill out a few pages a day, and the end. So we have our rubric, we made our skeleton. I am promising you I'll fill out the pages. After this, what do I do with this presentation? I'm going to practice it. And you'll notice that I put bullet points everywhere. Why is that? I don't really want sentences here. I really just want main topics, something to help me remember what I was going to talk about, and then I think about as many ways as I could to say that thing. So, for example, for Pokemon history, if I wanted to just read out the presentation, I could say like Pokemon Japonya da yapılmış. Pokemon was made in Japan. Or I could say Pokemon Japonya video oyunu serisi. Pokemon is a Japanese video game series. Like, I want to think about as many possible ways to say things because I'm not memorizing it. I refuse to memorize this. I would rather kill myself. Even when I was in school, I hated memorization. I still hate memorization to this day. So I'd rather completely understand the concept and be able to talk about that concept than memorize what's on the page. Plus, this, how many times I have to reiterate, this class is self-directed, so I want to expand my vocabulary, expand my confidence, be really comfortable with the material, because it's not for a grade, it's for my language improvement. In high school, when you're making a presentation for your foreign language class, I think it's super common for people to just read off the presentation. I cannot stand, that was the worst thing in school, when you would have to listen to a boring voice of someone saying Je m'appelle Alex, je suis American, j'ai 11 ans. Reading and reading terribly is really such a terrible presentation, but it's more fun when you know everything about that topic and can speak openly, say the same thing in 10 different ways, and that is literally how you improve your language. You have 10 options of saying everything. Point 4, you need to practice with synonyms. You absolutely need to practice your presentation using every combination of words you can imagine. Try to say every point in a different sentence structure every time. Then the final point for your presentation is to present. So, some people get stage fright. I don't have that many strategies about how to gain more confidence as a public speaker. That's not my realm. But hopefully, if you've practiced enough, you've practiced a million ways to say things, you will naturally feel confident presenting your presentation, because you're not worried about what if I forget what to say. Well, your bullet points just lead you in the direction of what you want to say. And then you just go off on that tangent. I think that's all about this topic. Hopefully, you've gotten some insight that will help you for your future presentations for, university, high school, italki, anything. And hopefully you really take advantage of every presentation you do. I think even if you are in high school, doing a presentation you don't want to for a high school Spanish class, it's such a valuable opportunity to be able to go off on a tangent about, a topic you're interested in. Of course, if it's high school, it's probably the most boring topic they could think of, but maybe that gives you motivation to do some self-studying where, the topics are totally wide open. The teacher is open to absolutely any topic under the sun. maybe that'll give you a reason to do that. I think that's gonna be all for this video today. If you found this video useful, please give it a like. Please subscribe if you want to see more from this channel. If you want to learn more about language learning, about my journey, please go to studywithalex.com. There you can find a lot of different blogs, a lot of different resources about language learning. Bu videoyu izlediğiniz için çok teşekkürler ederim ve sonraki videoda görüşürüz. Güle güle.